So good morning. If we are live, I think we are now. It's always hard to know with these things, as you know, if you've been watching this week. It keeps catching the side of my head as I'm looking at my other screen to see if we're live. I might have managed it this morning. Let me know if I managed to keep my face facing forward when I said good morning and I wasn't looking at the screen as we started. So where are we? We're at day 5 of the Self-Care Summit. And it's been a really great week. Just talking to Sharon, who's here joining me this morning, and we were saying, it's been a lot of hard work, but it's definitely been worthwhile. It's been a learning experience, and there's so many, a whole page of A4 notes of things I'm going to take from it. And if we do it again, which I think I probably will, it will be bigger and better. So, that's the thing with these things, isn't it? If we try it the first time, just to see whether we, how it goes, and if it works, you do it again and you make it better because you've learned something. So, if you are watching, if you do, watch this, do give us some hearts, some thumbs up, so that people know that we're here, so that people know it's worth watching. Because if we don't get those people, very often just move on past. And Facebook doesn't show it to everyone, so please do. Comment if there's any questions, ask questions, say hello if you're there watching, and if you watch on replay, do give us a hashtag replay, because it means all the difference, to our speakers and to me to know that you have seen it. So this morning, as I say, I'm joined by the lovely Sharon Thomas. Sorry,
Thomas.
I keep doing that, Thomas.
Oh, don't worry.
I think it's because I've got a friend who, Anyway, Sharon Thomas is, when I asked her to let me know a little bit about herself to tell you guys, this is what she wrote. The principle for setting up and being successful is almost the same for all service-based businesses. We just need mentoring, marketing, and mindset. Be responsible just for yourself, or you could be starting to organically grow a team. The world is your oyster. I want to pass the knowledge gained over many years in industries over to you to help you grow and flourish. I look forward to meeting you. Oh, that's so nice, Sharon. And we met a few months ago now, and you're always so supportive of everyone. So thank you for being here today. It's lovely.
My pleasure.
So, I mean, that's a little introduction. Do you want to tell us a bit more about you and this new business venture that you have? Because you can tell us a bit about your old, your old business, your established business as well, because I think that might help people to know where you've come from as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course it is. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very proud of what we've done. And so I'm quite happy to talk about it. I think it's a good thing. The problem I will have is I'll probably talk for too long.
I'll interrupt because I'm good at that. No, if we need to, I will round you up.
Okay. So basically, my partner and I come from a professional background. And I used to be a floristry lecturer. And organise events, and my partner used to be in advertising, and we hit on a few dodgy times and things weren't great, and we realised that we needed to find a business that we would be able to have a recurring revenue. We weren't after making millions. I think I'm past that now. I think we need to be realistic, or I needed to be realistic about what we wanted to achieve, and we just wanted to feel safe and comfortable and feel that we were doing something worthwhile. So we hit upon a kind of business that not a lot of people always want to do, but actually has been very lucrative. So we set up a commercial and domestic cleaning agency, and we never thought that it would grow to what the level that it has grown to. And sometimes we think, oh God, that's too much, it's too big and we're too busy. But it's been very, very good. Off the back of that, I realised that all the things that I've done over my working life, so from when I was probably 17, because I didn't go to uni, has all been around where we are, has led us to where we are now, in a way, or where I am now. And I've done so many things. I'd need to write a book, and believe you me, that's on the cards as we speak, talking about it. But the one thing that I think we've learned is that we have to communicate well with people. And that's what I am good at. I am good at working out what people need. And I don't like fluff. I'm a very empathic person.
Mhm.
I can pick up on a person's needs and wants really easily. And because of the experiences that I have had in my past working life, it doesn't take me long to suss out what someone's like and what someone needs. And I think this new business is all about helping people set up the service-based industry. The service-based industry is massive. Tina, you and I a couple of weeks ago had a bit of a brainstorming, and our heads were like, whoa, you know, you think about a service-based industry and the first thing you think of is, oh, you're a decorator or a cleaner or a window cleaner. Well, no, it's massive, it's huge. But they all have a similar kind of thing that develops them together, and that is they're diary-based. It's about working your diary out. It's about finding the people who want to kind of work with you and do things for you. So it's really interesting. Just one little moment now. I've got a little bit of a case study going on, and I'm working with a young lady called Rachel. And Rachel is part of the Great Resignation. And she's been a teacher and very unhappy. She's a single mum. She wants to redefine her life. Now she's an art teacher, so she knows her subject really, really well. What she doesn't know, and she can make a logo, brilliant, she's ahead of the game. She doesn't know about, do I need insurance? How do I go about it? How do I set it all up? Who do I speak to? What, you know, she wants to do art classes after school, and she's doing really well. And we're working together and we're chatting it through and coming up with ideas. And it's really interesting to see how she's going to develop. But then there's also people who want to just set up, there was a lady you and I spoke to a few weeks ago who just wants to set up a business where it's a bit like a sitting service. And she goes and sits with an elderly, lonely, disabled person and talks to them and gives them some companionship. So it's massive, the range. And so the new business matchmaker is going to be about helping people achieve what they want. But there is a caveat, I think, and that is that after what I've learned doing what I do, you have to balance yourself. So you have to remember your own mental health. You have to take time out, and it's encouraging you to work like that, as opposed to thinking like you've been this week, you run, and that's okay for a short period of time, but it's not sustainable and you get overtired. So yeah, that's basically it. I don't know what else you want me to say really, but that's basically it. And I'm passionate about everything I do. I talk too much, but there you go.
No, your passion does come through, and that's fine. I think, yeah, as you say, the service industry is huge, and people don't always realise the things that they can do. So you're helping people sort of define what it is they're going to do, and
Right.
then get up and running. Because, as you say, most people will have skills in some area, but it's the actual where do I go from here? What do I need to do to get this off the ground, and how do I keep it so it's sustainable? Because that's the key, isn't it? We can all have big ideas, and we'll start off running. We will just keep going, because the types of people that want to start a business are usually strivers, aren't they?
Yes,
They are the people that are people pleasers and strivers, and it's so interesting to me that is the type of person that runs a business is also the type of person that burns out, is also the type of person that has chronic pain, and they just go hand in hand.
you do.
So
Yeah.
You say there about making sure you look after yourself. Do you have specific ways of looking after yourself? Do you have a routine? Do you have
if I'm really honest, I'm not the best routine person in the world. And I know that people are very rigid about their exercise routine. And I am not the best at that. I always hold my hands up and admit it. However, if I am struggling in a day and I'm just really pulled out, I do try and get up earlier and go for a 20-minute walk. I do think at lunchtime, I stop and I think, right, I'm just going to put my trainers on. And then we're lucky where we live. It's very beautiful, but it's easy to get into the green. And I find the green, I call it the green, very relaxing. And even if I only do 20 minutes of that, then that's fine. I think the problem can come if we set ourselves targets for our relaxation that are unachievable. So therefore we say things like, right, I'm going to go and play badminton next Tuesday evening, or I'm going to go to the gym on every Wednesday morning, or something. I'm going to do a 2-hour walk every whenever. And then something happens, because let's face it, life gets in the way and you can't actually do that day. So then it adds a layer of guilt that you can't do it. So then you end your day thinking, oh God, I didn't go and I was too tired to go and play badminton, or I was too tired, or it rained and I didn't go for my walk. And then you can beat yourself up. You're often your worst enemy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think by taking that away and keeping it realistic and just doing the best you possibly can. The other night I'd had a very busy day. It was really busy. And I thought, right, I can't go for a walk. I can't go and do anything else. I'm going to go and have a bath. So I went upstairs. I didn't take my phone in the bath. I didn't take my Kindle in the bath. I put my candles on. I took a glass of sparkling water and I just soaked in the bath for about an hour. And that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, well, it probably does in the way that the fuel is at the minute.
Yeah, the cost of heating the water.
I did feel it for a second. I thought, oh no, I shouldn't be doing this. But what I think I'm saying is, you have to just make time, but don't beat yourself up if you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's it. So, it's that doing it when you need it as well, isn't it? It's rather than, and rather than planning it too much and being too rigid with it. I guess.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
It's not necessarily doing it at a certain time or for a certain length of time. It's doing what you feel you need in the moment.
And I also think that we have a very, very busy business, which we're trying to sort of leave slowly at the moment, only because we're older and we're ready to move on to other things. But I think sometimes you look at your list and you think, I can't go and have a run. I can't go for a walk. I can't do that because I've got this list. But actually, how much of that list is essential at that moment? Probably very little. So the mental health side of just going, right, I'm going to go and cook in the kitchen for an hour and make a nice dinner. That won't cause your list any damage. But then when you come back to it, you'll feel better and you'll achieve more. Yeah.
It's something I always say, having that little break, however small, I do it, between clients, I'll take a few breaths each time. If I haven't got time to, if I've got some time, I'll go out and play with the dog in the garden or go for a little walk or something. But very often just a few breaths, in between things can help resetting and help you feel a bit more motivated again.
Normal, and just being normal. I think sometimes when we're rushing around all the time, and it's been very busy recently, as you know, with different things that have happened, but all the while in that, the important thing is that we both, because we work very closely together, we both step off and step away. And I think whenever I'm going to be encouraging anybody with the new business matchmaker to set up, I am going to talk heavily about that, and because I do believe it's really, really important to do, and be in the moment. So I'm unfortunately, and I think you're probably the same, this flipping phone that we all have around with us means that we feel like we've got to answer instantly everything, and I don't actually believe we do. If it's an emergency, how often is it actually a real emergency?
Yeah, see, I always have mine on silent, and the only things that can break through are family calls. That's my son and my partner and my mum. That's it. no one else will get through.
Yeah.
It goes to voicemail, and I return the call when I have
When
time.
you're ready. You're very good at that. You're very good at that.
I've had to be, I suppose because I don't want my phone going off in sessions and things when I'm talking to
Yes.
someone. It's a confidential session, that I want to be there with someone, so I won't want that distraction. So it's there. I can glance and see, oh yeah, someone's just tried to ring, but it's not going to take my full attention away, because
No.
that's not fair on the person in the room, the person.
No.
But
Yeah.
actually, it's also setting those boundaries for other people as well.
100%. Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? We've got some grandchildren, and one of them's due to get a mobile phone shortly. And when I'm with them, I often try to be aware that I don't look at my phone, because I don't think it's fair. I've slipped again recently, and but I'm aware that I've slipped, so it's going away now. It can wait, because also when Poppy gets a mobile phone, I'm not going to want her to be with us on her little phone. So it's the same when you're running, and a lot of these people that I'm talking to about this new business thing are probably people who have got a young family. So they have to remember that there will be barriers. So they'll pick the children up from school, and then they'll maybe not check the phone again for at least an hour and a half or 2 hours. Give the children that whole period of time, because it will wait. It can wait. Yeah.
When you're just saying that, I'm just thinking of the, like the time blocking, method of time management. And you can block in times where you are business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, however you refer to yourself, you can have those, can't you? And then other times where your mum, where your partner, where, and you can name your roles in your time blocking.
Yes.
Or you can color code it and say, these are times where I'm available to my clients, my business, friends, and these are times where I'm being personal. And we do need that separation.
Absolutely do, because you actually, what you're doing is you're not being anything to anybody, because you're just spreading yourself like a little load of little rivers and streams, and they're all getting thinner and thinner and thinner, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. There is only one amount of you. So if you divide yourself up, they're not going to get your best. They're not going to get anything near what you could do if you gave full attention. So,
definitely.
Totally get that.
Good stuff is good.
So even that in a way is self-care, isn't it? Making sure you look after your where your attention is in moment to moment, and where you and you're doing it consciously.
That's also, yes, absolutely. I think that's the thing I've realized this last few weeks, because we've had 5 years of doing this, and we've managed it absolutely brilliantly. Running your own business like we have a lot of people who work with us, and that's the way we chose it to be. So sometimes on a Friday we'll say, right, well, we'll do a couple of hours Friday morning, but then we're going out for the day, or we're going for lunch. And it's actually quite nice to think that there's people working for us, and we're able to go and have lunch or go out with the kids, or just, we're not extravagant people, but we like to go for a nice lunch once in a while. So for us, that agency model has kind of worked really well, but it may not work for everybody else. And, as long as people realize that when they set up for themselves, they have to charge, because that's the other thing, there's the anxiety around money and costs of living, and people often under what's the word I'm trying to think of, undervalue themselves. So the other thing that can affect the mental health, I think, is that they will not charge enough because they're frightened. They actually think, no one will pay that. Really. You can go down in your price, but initially you can't go up. So as long as you present yourself when you're setting the service industry up at the right level, then, and you make everything be professional. So somebody who's maybe doing window cleaning rounds are very, very lucrative, that whoever can get a window cleaner. But for instance, if somebody did a little bit of a clip art and put it on a bit of tatty thin paper and stuffed it through people's letterboxes, you're not going to give the perception of value. Whereas if somebody has a nice logo designed, it's put on a nice piece of paper or card, and it's put through the letterbox, maybe with a knock on the door. And then somebody says, so how much do you charge for your window cleaning? And your value is more than the next person. The fact that they've opened the door and they've seen you with a nice logo and you're nicely presented means that you can charge more money. You're doing probably the same service. But if you charge more money, you're earning more money for yourself, even if you're just a one-man band. And so therefore that affects your mental health, because I know people who don't charge enough for what they do, and they're running around in this cycle and circle of anxiety and stress because they're not earning enough money, but they can't stop either because they need whatever money it's got. So they're like little hamsters, aren't they? On a wheel. And as part of even the mental health we've talked about, people don't like talking about money. It scares them. They're embarrassed by it. I've done a lot of work. I don't like money. I hate the stuff. I'd much rather deal in plants or stuff. But I know now, I understand that actually sell yourself better, but it's not just about saying I charge that, it's presenting yourself in the right way. Does that make sense?
It does. It's all part of that mindset that you talk to people about, isn't it? And when you're talking, I was thinking of two different examples that I've been told over the years, and they're very similar. One's trainers, one's handbags. So depending on where you sit with trainers and handbags, I'm not a handbag person, so the trainer one spoke to me more. I can see how it works both ways. You can get a pair of trainers on the market for a £5. You could get a handbag for a £5. You could go into a high street store and pay 20 quid. Or you can go to an exclusive, branded, high-end retailer and pay, what, 200, 300, up to £500 for a pair of trainers. Thousands for a handbag. They're the same thing. They do the same job. Just as we're same people, we do the same jobs, but it depends on how you perceive it. It's like, if it's presented on a market stall, you're going to expect to pay market prices.
Correct.
If it's in a high-end store, you're going to pay a high-end, or a higher end price.
And it's all, I think, running your own business, and you know this from what you do, is all about how people perceive us. So I'm not saying that you should pretend you're something that you're not, because that's not sustainable either.
Well, it's not good for your mental health, because you're going to be having that mask on constantly, and that's just hard work. And anyone who's ever suffered with low mood, anxiety or pain know how it is to have that mask on, because you're constantly trying to pretend you're okay when you're not.
I know. So but also it's that professionalism again, isn't it? It's having, and that's the other thing that I want to talk about in this business, is about, and we've just touched on it now with the marketing and how you present yourself, but being professional. And a client doesn't want to know. It's like when you go to the doctor, isn't it? So you go to the doctor and you feel rubbish, and if you ever get to see a doctor these days, and the doctor sits there and tells you that the husband's walked out on them and the kids are driving them mad and all of these things that affect everybody's life, and you're like, hang on a minute, you're my doctor, I've come to see you. So there's that professional thing of knowing the level of what it's oversharing, isn't it, really? And the more you talk about that to your clients, actually that doesn't do your mental health any either.
No, and that's the same with any anything in the pain realm, especially talking about our symptoms is just going to constantly remind us of them.
No,
so there's a time and a place, and we do need to acknowledge things.
Yes.
To acknowledge anxiety, we need to acknowledge low mood, to acknowledge when things are hurting us, but it's in the with the right people at the right time, and with that support. In the right context.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because with the way the mental health, they're going off it a little bit at the moment, I hope that's all right, but the way the mental health thing is at the minute is about talking about your issues and sharing them. And I do believe that you should.
Yeah.
But I also believe there comes a point when you have to work out, no, I need to kind of not stop. I need to just pull it back a little bit. And in the world of work, am I right?
Yeah, and it's not just in the world of work. I think it is, the way I work with people is very much like acknowledge, and we need to understand it, work out why and how and when and things like that. And so we really get to understand it, but we don't have to keep talking about it. There's a
Right.
time and a place. I've said this same phrase loads over this week, but over a few months, but this week especially. The learning is in the doing. We can talk about something until the cows come home, but unless you do it, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's almost like trying to work out how much you need to talk about it, how much you need to do. Where is that boundary as well?
Mm-hmm. There's a little thing. A few years ago I was quite poorly, and we used to live in Spain, and I wasn't very well. My head was just not in a good place, and my husband used to say to me, right, can you, and I couldn't sleep, and he used to say, can't you just put things in boxes and just close the door? And I went, no, well, I'm not that kind of person anyway. So from that conversation he said, right, what kind of boxes have you got in your head? What they like? I went, what do you mean, what they like? Well, are they oak? Are they tin? Are they painted? Are they cardboard? And this whole conversation for about an hour was about the kind of boxes that I had in my head, which was hilarious. And I probably did go to sleep thinking about it. But I kind of get what he was saying, really. He was trying to say, when you're running a business or in your life, you've got to learn to kind of compartmentalize things and not ignore them, but just respect, right, there's nothing I can do about that right now, or that, but I can do something about that. And having trained myself now with that discipline, your mind is calmer, I think.
Yeah, that's it. And one of the first lessons I always talk to people about is learn what you can control and what you can't. Because if you're trying to control something you can't control, you're just going to make yourself feel worse.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to this little next phase of life, really, and teaching people how to get what they want and being understanding, I think, is really important.
You just got so much knowledge to pass on, and it's a difference, isn't it, when you talk to someone who's trained specifically in business support, or and they have no business experience or life experience in some cases. It's just a different kettle of fish when you then talk to someone who's actually been there, done it, knows it.
Yeah, definitely. And I haven't got a business degree, or I have a degree, but it's a degree in education, which I was very proud of that I got. But I'm all about plain English, really, and I've been doing a lot of the things that people talk about doing, but I didn't have a name for them. I just didn't have that name for them, kind of thing. And I think that most people wanting to do this business that I'm talking about, I'm not trying to say that they won't have that knowledge, but I'm assuming that a lot of these people, and the people I've already spoke to, they're not high flyers, they're just normal people who've never done it before. So frightened of, how do I do it? Will I be able to do it? And what do you mean about all these kind of buzzwords that people use? No, just plan, follow the plan and do it well. And I'll hold your hand. Keep it simple. Really. Kiss.
Yeah. Oh, that's just reminded me of a project I did at school, and that was to set up a business. It's in business studies at school, and I set up a gym, and that was called Kiss. It was a female-only gym. Right. I was thinking of, we just did the business plan and everything, but because it was like, just keep it simple.
It's a really good little. It's 4 letters in. Keep it simple, stupid. And it just says it, just keep it simple. We overcomplicate everything, don't we?
Yeah. 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 I'm going to make a note of something I want to say to you.
Oh, go on. What are you making a note of?
No, I'll tell you actually. I was just thinking that would be a really good lead magnet for you, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it would. Absolutely.
Acronyms or things that people say in business when you're starting out and you go, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The business phrase, and then the common or garden phrase that we would know it as, before we get into this world, because it's a different language. It totally is a different language. Yeah.
And have you heard of this thing? I've only really heard of it recently, and I asked somebody this morning on another group, or last night before I went to sleep, what is it? I don't understand. What is it? And it's human design. Have you heard of human design?
Yeah.
And the answer I got from a very, very nice lady who I really, really like, I think she's amazing, that even lost me. So if I was, I've worked it out, I know what it is, and I've sussed it. But if I was new to business and I heard all those kind of like phrases and different things, my shutters would come down and I would be going like, no. So also in all of that, I kind of guess, is talking about alignment. And even alignment is something that I would never have used a while ago, although I was doing it, but I didn't know I was doing it. So maybe that helps us understand that how we would get along with people, because you can't work with people that you haven't got any synergy with, can you?
No. And I think you find your own alignment though. And you very quickly know if you're not, and you're not being authentic, and you won't, we know that these things are, sort of not necessarily integral to success, because I do know there are, I've come across people that have been successful in terms that they would probably define success, that probably aren't aligned or very authentic. However, we do know that for our personal success, our feelings are, to feel successful, for us to have that inner knowing that we're doing a good job or that we've helped someone that day, that's where we need to be in alignment and authentic. And we don't need to use those words, do we? We can just say, I know that I'm doing a good job. That's a form of alignment.
Yes, it is.
Your values, that's alignment.
Yes, it is. It really, really is. And I do feel that the world has become very overcomplicated.
I think there's a lot of people trying to pretend they're cleverer than they are. That sounds a little bit, and I don't mean it to sound discriminatory or disparaging to anybody, but it's almost like, let's use these words and it will make us sound more important.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting, isn't it? Just kind of ever so slightly changing the subject, but we've needed to find new crew recently. And we've got some really lovely ladies starting with us. And when you speak to them, I always have this little process of that I do. So I don't just go, we advertise on Indeed and I read what it is they've written. And with the greatest of respect, some of these people aren't the best writers. And in fact, we've taken a young lady on who's Hungarian and she can hardly speak a word of English. But her partner came with her the first time and we chatted and we found, but our eyes, I'm not involved with these people. They work for me, but I have to like them and they have to like me, because otherwise how will they work for me? And it's important. But I liked her because of the way she presented herself, because of how she was so sweet and so kind of like petite, and there was just something about the way she'd written questions down and translated them and different things like that. So although I can't converse with her, right, we've taken her on, and my God, is she doing a cracking job. She's saying, please can I have more hours? She can text me, but I can't talk to her. But the other people that we've taken on recently, we have lovely conversations. So they message me or they send us a CV through, and we have lovely conversations before we even think about whether or not we actually want to meet. And I think that's the important thing, because then from that conversation, they know and I know whether I can get on with them or whether they can get on with me, because it's all about trust. I kind of think of it a bit like a triangle. So there's me, there's the client, like that we have at the moment, and then there's the person, and all those three things have to be in alignment to get it right. So somebody who doesn't feel like I'm about integrity and communication and care. So if I'm employing, for instance, a cleaner, if I don't feel, or I discover quite soon on that that person doesn't have those same attributes, they're no good for us. And it will be the same. It's the same with a new business matchmaker. There will be people who won't like me or feel comfortable with me, and vice versa. So it's understanding and accepting that and not taking it personally, I think.
Yeah, that's all part of your self-care as well, isn't it? It's like, you know, making sure that you don't put yourself in those situations where you're going to feel uncomfortable. You know, I mean, what I talk about with self-care a lot is about feeling safe. If we can feel safe, that's what we're trying to get to with self-care. It's why, you know, having a hot chocolate with a cozy blanket, you know, can, you know, in your own home where you feel safe is a self-care act. Just as going for a run. If you go for a run, your body feels safe doing that. You feel that self-care. And so, you know, you would have to feel safe within our business as well, don't we? We have to make sure
we do.
It's running how we want it to, and with the people we want to work with. Otherwise, that, you know, we don't feel safe. If we're working with someone that hasn't got the same integrity beliefs as us, you know, those values aren't there, then you're not going to feel safe. You're not going to trust. And we need to trust to feel safe. So it is all about coming back into that soothing zone, isn't it? You know, to know that we feel okay.
And these people don't always have to be the same as you. So they're not like you. They're not, you know, they don't have, they have their own needs and wants. They have their own life that you and I know nothing at all about. And we don't have to. You know, they may not eat like we do, or they may not enjoy the same kind of activities that we do. It doesn't mean you can't find an alignment with them.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when we're just talking, perhaps alignment is actually the alignment of our values, like you said, you know, care and integrity. You know, if you align on those values, then everything else doesn't matter.
No, agreed. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. I mean, we've got girls that work for us who I know don't have particularly good home life, you know, especially at the level we've been at. They don't have a particularly good home life. And coming to work just solves so many things. It's about the money, but more than the money, it's about them. There's one particular girl I know at the minute, and when she first came to us, she was really nervy, almost jumpy, and you could see she's had a bit of a hard life. You can see it in her face and in her demeanour. And I saw her the other day. I think I gave her a lift, which I don't do very often. And I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "I'm doing great." So I said, "Brilliant." I said, "You're like a different person now to what you were when you came to us about 4 months ago." And she went, "Yeah, I suppose I am, really." And I said, "Why is that?" And she said, "Because I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do. And you're always so kind." That kindness isn't soft. And there's a difference, isn't there, between being kind and people thinking that you're a walkover.
Yeah. Jack said something similar in his talk the other day. And, you know, he was talking about male mental health. And, you know, exactly, you know, kindness, care, they're not soft. You know, they're actually really quite hard to do at times. You know, but we can still, you know, do that for ourselves and for others if they're in our, you know, in our value system.
Absolutely. You know, I wouldn't want to go out for a drink with her or have a party with her or possibly sit and have a meal with her particularly. But how lovely and how rewarding is that to know that without you realising it, you've changed somebody's part, just a small part of somebody's life.
But, you know, the self-esteem and the self-worth that she has now is probably a lot greater than when she started. You know, she feels that, you know, she is cared for and she is worth something because she's been given this opportunity.
Correct. So that to me is part of the, you know, we all talk about how running a business makes us feel. and how we've got to protect our selves. But if we then start, once this business, this new matchmaker business of yours or Rachel's, like she talked about the other day, takes off, and she's had people say, can I come and work for you? So then the value changes, that it's not just about Rachel's money and Rachel's income and how she's set her business up. It's she has to understand the reward that she's giving to people, and the fact that she's got people working with her, usually freelancers, but they'll always say, if she does it right, oh, I'm going to go and work for Rachel because Rachel makes us feel valued. It might be hard work, but she makes us feel valued, and that is really important. It's that, why would anyone? There was a girl the other day I interviewed, and she said she'd worked as a housekeeper, and the wife of the housekeeper was rude to her and horrible, probably because she had other things going on in her life. But that's not the girl who was working for us problem, which is back to what we were saying before. So she's left. So we have to respect people, I think.
Yeah, that's it. And so when we're perhaps looking at employing other people or subcontracting, freelancers, that sort of thing, it is making sure that you're also in alignment on those values with those people as well, so that you then look after your own self-care, so that you don't have those interactions with them that perhaps don't feel great, but they then want to work for you, and you're looking after their self-care and their their mental well-being, and they then can thrive as well. So it's like this, again, the word that has come out lots is the ripple effect, isn't it? We are showing self-care to ourselves, we then bring it into our business, it then affects everybody around us, employees, contractors, people that we interact with on a daily basis, as well as our clients. So it's this huge effect that it can have if we understand what it is for us.
And it's not, I think the ripple effect's a perfect word, really, because I don't actually think we realise how that ripple works. I think we're sometimes so wrapped up in ourselves that we don't think about the people on the edges. And that's a hard lesson for some people to learn. I've learned it, I think, and I try and think about how what we say affects other people, and that at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, a person only cares about themselves, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. So when you're talking to a client, whatever it is that you're doing in the future, you kind of have to try and take the time to get into their head a little bit, and look around you when you see them. What kind of a life have they got? What kind of a business are they running? If you're doing commercial work, is it hectic? Is it chaotic? That you can see a lot when you go into somebody's home, or when you're talking to people, or they're driving a car. You look in a person's car and you think, wow, that car's an absolute tip. And that tells me a lot about that person, how chaotic their life is and how they're running around all the time. You go into an office and it's full of papers and nothing's organized. That doesn't mean they're not going to be good to work for, but it gives you a bit of an insight into how that person works. So, you were talking about seeing a stylist, and you see a stylist and the stylist comes to talk to you. She should very quickly evaluate what kind of a person Tina is by what's going on around. And all those things, you have to listen to the signals. And that stylist was Yvonne, who was in our talks. She was,
Sunday. She was the second speaker. So if you're interested in styling and self-care as well, there's Yvonne. Yvonne's talk is in the group. So so what sort of advice would you give to your younger self then? We've learned so much along the way. What would you say to them if you were starting out now? What's going to help?
my younger self, I saw that question the other day, and I have to admit that was the one that I stumbled on a little tiny bit. I think probably is to embrace the experiences that you go on and learn from them. And maybe my younger self didn't always acknowledge and learn from the experiences, and not to think that how you are at 28 is how you're going to be at 48. And I think that that's the thing, is to learn from the experiences, take as many experiences as you can through life, and act on them. I think that's the thing, because not everybody's into academia. So I could say, oh, I should have stayed at school and worked harder, but I wasn't an academic person, but it doesn't mean I'm a stupid person, because I know I'm not. So, you know, in some ways, I think I've learned far more through my life. Probably would have liked to have learned it a few years earlier, but take your experiences and acknowledge them and learn from them. I think that's what I would use.
Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? You know, that if we do, you know, I think that, you know, again, there has been a similar sort of message from a lot of other people in the summit, and it is that, yeah, if you go through life just going from one thing to the next, or thinking about what the next thing is, you know, and you're not really in the moment, you're not really taking it all in. You might take a little snippet, you might sort of notice it as you go by, but you're not really experiencing it fully. So if you can learn to, you know, be in the moment more, take it all in, learn what you can from it, then move on. You know, you will have a more enriched life, maybe, or you learn them lessons a little bit earlier. And yeah, that's really valuable, isn't it?
And I also think a lot of young people, I've never been completely like that. They think they know everything. I was like that, like you probably were. But I think that the value I think we need to understand is that, you know, life is for learning and growing and developing, and you can't get it all out of a book or a course. You have to acknowledge that, yes, sometimes you do need help. Like, I know I need to have a bit of help for myself, but only for little areas to give me a bit more clarity. But I think it's okay to ask for help, and it's probably a good thing to ask for help. But a lot of young people think that they don't need help, that they can do it all themselves. And I think they would get to the journeys, you're never at the journey's end, but you get to a more satisfying life if maybe you did take a bit of help and guidance in a while, maybe.
Yeah, so I guess that's another lesson to take, isn't it, as well? That, you know, as you're on this journey, take it all in, learn what you can, and if there's bits that you don't understand or you don't know, get the help, find out. If you go in at 100 miles an hour and keep moving forward without taking it all in, without learning on the way, you're not going to even realise there's bits that you've missed, things that you could have learned, things that, you know, might be quite needed in the future. So yeah, it's that sort of slow down, listen, ask, learn.
And we've got 3 daughters, and our youngest daughter, gorgeous as she is, she doesn't think, she's very clever, she's got a very, very good job, she's head of department in an academy of drama, and she's definitely a drama queen, and she will sometimes rush you an answer. Well, why don't you just do that or whatever? And then I go, well, hang on a minute, have you thought about what would happen if I did that? And then she'll go, oh yeah, you're right. So she's an absolute classic. Oh yeah, you're right. And I think that that's the lesson in life, really, is just take a moment and
and you haven't got to have all the answers.
No, of course you haven't. No, of course you haven't.
So if you were sharing one tip to one of your, you know, new clients or to the audience, you know, what would you say is the best tip you could give to someone about self-care at the moment? You know, what could you pass on? How would you?
I think so if somebody was when people are coming to me to talk to me about mindset and self-care, I would always say, just take some time for you. You have to try and plan in some time for you in each day. But if the plan crumbles, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel guilty. Just go, okay, I couldn't do that today, but here's what I will do. I'll go and have that bath, or I'll put my coat on and I'll go out in the dark with my head torch on for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's take the guilt away for your self-care. Just do the best you possibly can.
Yeah, that's it. It's perhaps little and often, and don't worry if you can't.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So if people wanted to find you, they're looking for advice for their new business, or they just want to say hi, how do they find you, Sharon? Where would they contact you?
Okay, so the best place at the moment is on my, you're going to ask me for it, aren't you? For my Instagram handle, it's the best place at the moment. We can perhaps pop that on here, can't we?
Yeah, we'll pop that in the comments after. Perhaps Sharon will pop in and just put in all the
I
links.
am on Facebook, but I've right now, as we speak, have a lovely girl called Claire Taylor who's doing my technical VA, and she's setting up everything so it all links together. So until we get that set up, clearly, that I'm not good at the tech. I have to hold my hands up.
Snap! I hate it this week.
I worry about Facebook anyway, because I know there's a bit of something going on at the minute, isn't there, with the algorithms and groups and stuff. So Instagram's definitely the best place. Send me a message, no problem.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll make sure that link is underneath. Thank you so much, Sharon. It's always lovely to talk to you.
I hope that's been okay and I've not waffled on too much.
No, not at all. No, I think, mind of knowledge, and, people will benefit from that. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you all a little bit later on. 2 o'clock today, we have Ali Davis, and Ali is an invisible illness advocate, if you like. She's very big on Instagram, and she is, well, she'll tell you more about it, but she lives with her own struggles, but she has a brilliant outlook, and she'll be here to talk a bit more about her self-care and how she manages it, and how she talks to others about looking after their self-care. And then at 7 o'clock tonight, I'll be here with my masterclass looking at 5 steps to sustainable self-care, especially if you're an entrepreneur with chronic pain or stress illness. So we will see you all later on. If you do watch, make sure you do put a comment in, or a wave, or a thumbs up or something, just so we know you've seen it. And if you have questions, make sure you ask them, because as we've just said, there'll always be things you don't know. Ask.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, and see you all later. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and share if you've enjoyed the video.